Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. This is a big week for pro wrestling. I know I say that every single show, it seems like, but this literally is. There's a giant WWE show. There is a giant AEW show. The In-1 tournament is wrapping up this weekend from Noah. And we're just going to be diving right into it. And we're going to be talking about some news as we go forward with it. Yeah, the In-1 tournament, I'm going to bring you guys the finals next week on the show. So look forward to that for any Noah fans. But you can also look forward to WWE Clash at the Castle this weekend. I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions right the fuck now. Edge and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. Part of me thinks Edge and Rey are going to win in the stadium crowd. You know, Wales going crazy. I can see this being earlier on in the show. So you have, some legends earlier on in the show. WWE always puts the stars over. And, Edge and Rey are big stars here. But I want to see this Judgment Day get over on these legends. I want to see them kind of beef up this Judgment Day faction a little bit. And I want to see the story push forward a little bit by converting Dominic over to the Judgment Day and having, him get out from the shadows of his father and into the shadows of the Judgment Day's dark persona or whatever. You guys get where I'm coming from right there. And then we can finally get Rey versus Dominic, the feud that they've kind of been hinting at for a while now. And, that might be pretty good. I don't know. Dominic doesn't seem to be too good of a wrestler or anything, but I think that there's a story to be told here with Rey versus Dom, and then Dominic could slowly move down the ladder and into retirement or something like that. But as far as predictions go, I'm going Edge and Rey because they're going to want to put these big stars over in this stadium setting. Gunther versus Sheamus. Sheamus is good, but they're on the verge of making a real international star here. I think it would be good to see them keep the title on Gunther, have him win in this big setting. I think it would get a huge pop since he's, been the UK champion for so long. And here he is with the Intercontinental Championship in the continent that he defended the UK title, for over a year. I know a lot of it was during the pandemic, but a lot of it wasn't. Riddle versus Rollins. This is the most well-done angle in a long, long time in WWE. The video of the fight backstage was great. I liked how they just kind of let that get out there, let that leak out before Raw. Really cool. And then the split screen was great. I think they kind of just took everything that was slightly more edgy and interesting in AEW and kind of put it within an angle. I mean, the split screen from Rampage, cutting deep in promos, kind of like MJF and Christian Cage did when Rollins said the thing about Riddle's family, cussing. I know they had it bleeped out, but they still were cussing. Riddle saying, I'm going to F you up and everything like that, playing off the idea of backstage drama, which is seemingly kind of piqued the interest of AEW fans. And even WWE fans, because WWE fans are going to read about the AEW backstage drama, if not just to poke fun and troll the AEW fans. So I'm sure that they're looking at these Google searches and like, okay, we can manufacture some backstage drama. They let Rollins win the promo battle with the split screen. I think they're going to let Riddle win here, but I like the split screen. It gave some fire to Riddle. Riddle is over, but we got to put the fire in him. He's already legitimate because of his UFC run. Now they need to make him legitimate, serious badass like we all know he is. He can come out on a scooter. He can do like kind of the Kurt Angle thing where he's a badass because of pedigree. So you can kind of have him joke around sometimes, but when it's time to get serious, it's time to get serious. I think Riddle goes over Rollins, and then you start pushing Riddle to the top of the card. I even say, hell, put the title on him. Put the world title on Riddle. I can see it. Bianca, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka versus Bayley, Io Shirai, and Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Whatever. I think you just introduced this new faction, and this is a way you can screw Bianca over without having her lose and look weak and take the pin. So I'm going with Bayley, Io, and Dakota here. Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler. I don't give a shit. No, I'm just joking here. I mean, I think they're going to some kind of a fluke finish like they did SummerSlam to keep the title on Liv, so she can drop the title to Ronda Rousey is what I'm thinking. Roman versus Drew. They're doing some great video packages with Drew online. Those look really good. This is his home country. That's actually his home continent, but he probably lives in the States nowadays. But I think Roman is going to win this one. He is their guy. I think even with Vince gone, it's still the WWE. So I think that Roman is beating Drew in his proverbial hometown. And Roman is walking away up that aisle with everyone just booing the shit out of him. And then what I would like to see is maybe on the big screen, The Rock shows up and we get The Rock versus Roman at Mania. That's what I'm hoping for, but I don't know. I'm just a guy out here fantasy booking, trying to have fun on a podcast, hoping you guys are listening, hoping you guys are entertained by this. Something I was entertained by this week, or last night I should say, was AEW Dynamite. Moxley comes out off the top of the show. Punk chants, but not very crazy loud punk chants. A little bit of a mixed crowd. I even hear people chanting for Moxley when he's done. Mox says that Punk folded under pressure. Fragile body, weak mind, weak spirit. Says it's a tough business. Great promo. Issues a challenge to anyone in the back. Leaves the contract in the middle of the ring. Ace Steel, of course, a member of the Second City Saints. CM Punk and Colt Cabana met in the Steel Domain, Ace Steel's wrestling school at the time, and he picks up the contract and walks to the back. Later on in the show, Punk comes out, CM Punk comes out, looking like an emo kid, walking down the halls of his high school with his fucking hands were in his hoodie, gets in the ring while people are chanting his name, but it wasn't as loud as usual. Great acting here, big reaction, but not as big as usual. Someone is chanting Colt Cabana at CM Punk, and CM Punk, is telling everybody that he has 16 screws in his foot from the injury, and then the guy that's chanting Colt Cabana, then Punk goes 16 more times than you've gotten screwed or something like that. I popped huge. I thought that was hilarious. And then he was like, oh, I don't know what came over me. That was wrong of me to say. But, I mean, I get it. If some stranger is yelling at you, intentionally trying to provoke you about something that really happened between you and your old best friend, it's like, I mean, I can see kind of just telling the guy to fuck off. But, of course, he's a professional on the mic. So he did it. He didn't just say fuck off. He came up with some funny way to say it. I don't mind it. I thought it was kind of funny. And then he, goes on and on about him being kind of sad and how he's at 100%, but it's a new 100%, and he doesn't know how he feels about this. And then Ace Steel, the guy with the contract, comes back out and gives this big speech like he's Mickey and CM Punk is Rocky from, the Rocky movies, slaps him. This pops me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend's sitting right next to me. She's like, oh my gosh, what is this? And she's like, this is a setup. He's going to go crazy here. And he does. Ace Steel convinces CM Punk to sign the contract. And now we have an official main event for All Out. Punk signs it and he goes into the crowd. Someone lifts up a baby like Lion King at CM Punk while the whole crowd is going crazy. CM Punk chants like ever before. Mox comes back out, and they're straight up booing Mox at this point. So this promo really worked, really solidified what was supposed to happen here. Moxley is a face in Ohio. Punk is a heel in Ohio. Moxley, a heel in Chicago. Punk, a face in Chicago. You got to love that shit. Back in the territory days or something like that. I remember, Ric Flair was booed a lot of the times in other parts of the country, but here in North Carolina, Flair country as they call it, he was always cheered no matter how big of a dick he was. And this is you see this here. There was so much backstage drama during this feud, but this feud in front of the camera was great, full of great promos, and there was a solid little twist there with Punk, injuring his foot again and everything. You don't really see a lot of that kind of stuff in AEW. It's really just straightforward, like, I attack you, you attack me, I attack you, you attack me. Oh, there's a pay-per-view coming up. All right, well, let's fight. But there was a little bit of twists and turns in this angle, and I loved it. I loved watching it. I think it worked great. I think it worked really well. As I try to adjust my mic, hopefully you guys can hear this better. Looking at the software, it looks like you guys can hear better, so I'm going to keep it right here. We're going to be adjusting it as we go along here on this podcast, and we are going to talk about the Wingman coming out. I was listening to the post-wrestling and learned that on AEW Dark, JD Drake left the Wingman, but here on Dynamite, he's back in the Wingman, acting like nothing happened. I would love to watch and keep up with Dark and Dark Elevation, but hearing things like this kind of makes me seem like, what's the point? It's a bunch of squash matches anyways, but if someone's going to cut a promo and you do see a little bit of a story arc within those shows, it doesn't pay off on Dynamite. What's the fucking point? It kind of makes me want to just keep up with GCW and Noah instead of Dark and Dark Elevation, which I think that those are the companies that you got to remember that Dark and Elevation are kind of competing with. Like that's the last few hours of time I can spend on wrestling, and I'm choosing to watch these other companies, the third and fourth brands, instead of Dark. So they got to kind of clean this shit up here. But the Wingmen out there kind of protesting, and then all of a sudden, W. Morrissey, yes, that's right, Big Cass, the Giant Man, comes out, who, he's turned his life around. Feel good story here. WWE guy, fans know him. Looks impressive to people who are just flipping through the channel. Starts whooping the shit out of the Wingman. I guess this means that W. Morrissey is all elite. So that's kind of cool. A good Kip Sabian vignette. Miro promo was good as always. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy had a sit down with JR. And this was pretty good. I mean, you got to love Christian Cage's new, Steve Jobs gimmick. Steve Jobs meets MJF, turtleneck shithead. And the Jungle Boy went off on him. Jungle Boy said, that he was not, Jungle Boy anymore. He's Jack Perry. And you can tell JR loved that shit. He's been trying to get Jack Perry over for a long time. I guess, calling someone Jungle Boy and having him in this serious feud is kind of silly. But Jack Perry, of course, playing into who his dad was, and also that's his real fucking name. Give the serious guy a serious name. I like it. Before I give you guys my predictions for All Out this Sunday, let's rank every single match from AEW Dynamite from worst to first. Number 5, believe it or not, they don't find themselves down this low very often. FTR and Wardlow versus Silas Young, Red Jones, and some other guy. I did not catch his name. I found out from listening to other podcasts that this guy is the 22-year veteran Chicago legend, and here he is getting his ass kicked. Good to see Silas Young. FTR cuts the ring in half, and then the big rig fed him to Wardlow for the Powerbomb Symphony. Good shit. Just kind of putting over this makeshift 6-man tag before their match on Sunday. Number 4 out of 5, Yuta versus Dante versus Phoenix versus Roosh. Phoenix going off, Dante going off. This match was just kind of setting the tone for the ladder match, because they really haven't been pushing the ladder match that much on TV, but it always has the potential to steal the show. It was fun. Could have kicked off the show with this to kind of wake up the crowd. I could see something like that happening. Everyone doing a lot of high-flying moves, but of course, Yuta outsmarting them all with a roll-up, getting the victory. Number 3 out of 5. Danielson versus Hager, the first match, the curtain jerker of the evening. Garcia earlier in the night, pledged his allegiance to the Jericho Appreciation Society. Regal and Jericho in commentary. Hager in control. Chicago comes alive when the yes kicks start flailing into Hager's chest. Psycho knee, 1, 2, 3. Danielson gets the victory. All hell breaks loose at the end. Garcia kind of distracts Jericho so that Danielson could kind of get the better of Jericho after he pledged his allegiance to Jericho. We'll see what happens here on Sunday. We'll talk more about Sunday later because we're going to be talking about the second best match on AEW Dynamite, which is Hayter and Baker versus Storm and Shida. Hayter and Baker cutting the ring in half. Tony hits a running hip attack, and right as she hits it, she jumps in between the second and middle rope, landing on the apron, hitting a tornado DDT off the apron to Hayter. That was pretty sick, but Shida gets the victory for her team. Hayter and Baker lose on Wednesday. I think that might be a little bit of foreshadowing for what's going to happen on Sunday. The Elite and the United Empire main event is the best match on Dynamite. Omega and Ospreay starting things off. And then all hell breaks loose, spills up the ramp. Aussie Open, sick as fuck. They're pretty underrated. Ospreay rips off Omega's Under Armour. Thank God. I mean, you can't have Kenny Omega giving off Mike Quackenbush vibes. I mean, Mike Quackenbush, very good wrestler, but, I think Kenny Omega represents, like, the coolest, nerdiest guy ever, where Mike Quackenbush is just, like, a good underground indie guy. And so, don't have him in a t-shirt. He's not Chris Hero. He's not Mike Quackenbush. You got to have Kenny Omega looking like the motherfucking G that he is. So Ospreay was actually doing him a favor. 450 from Nick Jackson. Ospreay gets his knees up. Strike battle from Omega and Ospreay. Sloppy little thing here from United Empire. 1, 2. They kick out. One Winged Angel. 1, 2, 3. The Elite win. The Elite are moving on in this trios tournament. No better time than now than to give you guys my AEW All Out predictions, starting with the Casino ladder match. Cesaro, Yuta, Pentagon, Phoenix, Rush, Andrade, and Dante Martin. Oh, and the mystery guy. I pick whoever the mystery guy is because that's kind of how Tony Khan likes to do it. But look at this. Rush, great wrestler, really kind of lost. Penta and Phoenix kind of not involved in the tag title mix, but they decided to have a match with a tag team that hasn't even been feuding with the tag team champions in the tag team, title match, whatever. We'll get to that a little later. Cesaro's in this match. He went from the best match of, the last pay-per-view. Then he went to winning the world title in the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and now he's like caught up in this ladder match. So it kind of just seems like they threw all the guys that they wanted to get on the show, but they didn't have like any room for. They put them in this match. You got two guys that are a tag team in this match. You got two guys in the same faction in this match. It's just kind of a hodgepodge. That's why I think whoever the mystery guy is going to win this match. Pac versus Kip Sabian. They have way too many titles in AEW. They're crowning new trios champions for the first time on this show, and then their newest title is relegated to the pre-show, but it's a pretty good feud here. It looks that way anyways. Pac versus Kip Sabian. This guy had a box on his head for over a year, only to have it pay off while people are coming into the building. I also think he is going to lose because I don't think Pac is going to be dropping that title in his first big defense here. So, I mean, the box on your head thing, it's kind of like the Julia Hart of the men's division. It took so long to pay off, but then when it paid off, did we really feel like we got any kind of payoff? Hook versus Angelo Parker. This match is a great kickoff match. I bet I will laugh at least 3 times while Hook whoops the shit out of him and gets the victory. Kingston versus Ishii. These guys killed it in the New Japan Strong DC show. I brought this up on Twitter and I got trashed. I don't think people have watched the New Japan Strong DC show. So I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised here because this will be a banger. It's kind of lame that they didn't run with the Sammy versus Kingston match. I think that, they would have had some heat given, all the recent news. And I think it would have had a few more eyeballs trying to tune in to watch. And on the show, they were already kind of going that direction anyways. Either way, I think Kingston is going to beat Ishii in the match that they actually are putting on the show. Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting versus House of Black. Something has got to happen here. This feud has been treading water for very long. What if Sting turns on Darby? I mean, House of Black did spit in Sting's face, kind of like the Julia Hart thing. I don't know. Maybe not. Let's just go with Sting, Miro, and Darby winning. I'm kind of torn with this one. Ricky Starks and Hobbs, great feud. Ricky should be the next homegrown champion in my opinion. So I think he's going to win this match. And I'm going to call it within the next 4 years, MJF versus Ricky Starks title feud for the next, in the next 3 years. I can see something like that happening. Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. This feud has been great. Best thing Jungle Boy has ever been involved in his entire career by far. Cage has got to get his comeuppance here. I can see Jungle Boy, or should I say Jack Perry, as JR probably wants me to refer to him as, getting the victory here. Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. I predict this match going on first on the main card because ain't nobody going to follow this fucking match. I think this is going to be the best match on the show, including the main event, including anything. And I think Danielson is going to beat Jericho here for this one. FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns. I think Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns get the victory because Singh is going to cheat, and then we're going to get Wardlow versus Singh, and Wardlow is going to powerbomb Singh, and that's going to be this big moment for Wardlow. That's what I see coming down the road. Jade Cargill versus Athena. Jade ain't losing. Let's be real. Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. I think this has got to be a very weird match on the show. The Acclaim had a feud with the Gun Club and then randomly got offered this match by the champions. Got offered a title match from the champions. So hopefully the Ass Boys interfere here and the champs retain, because I was kind of enjoying that feud even though it was kind of convoluted. I found myself enjoying it even though it was kind of plot hole-ish. And I don't think the Acclaimed are over enough to hold the titles just yet. So I think it's going to stay on Swerve in Our Glory. The Elite versus, I'm going to go with Dark Order and Hangman. I think they're going to win. They're in this match, right? Yeah, Dark Order and Hangman. Rampage. I think it's going to be Dark Order and Hangman. I don't know who they're wrestling, but I think Dark Order and Hangman are going to get the win over Best Friends on Rampage. But then I think that you have to have the Elite win the six-man titles, even though I think the only reason they wanted to do the six-man titles was so you could do the Elite versus the Undisputed Era, the feud that we all wanted in 2019, kind of paying off at the end of 2022. But Bobby Fish's contract just ran out in AEW, and he will not renew. You kind of saw that coming when he was shitting on how CM Punk was throwing kicks and how he was saying whoever signs him in the future will have to see what he, utilize the talent that he is, that he has, and that he said he could go to war for Triple H. I don't think he would go to war for Tony Khan. So I kind of see, Bobby Fish not re-signing, which kind of makes this whole six-man tag tournament and everything useless, because you already had a set of six-man titles, the Ring of Honor six-man titles, so you could have just taken those. So now you have the Ring of Honor six-man titles and the AEW six-man titles, and then if you ever wanted to, you also have the IWGP six-man titles in New Japan. That's 3 more six-man tag titles than you need, than I don't think anyone ever wanted. I see more with Hangman than holding these titles. At least the Bucks and Omega kind of already have like a trio thing going on. They're cool together. They work well together. But you're going to have to make a lot of, teams for the Elite to go up against. I mean, House of Black versus the Elite would be a good feud, but who would be the faces there? I mean, you kind of, I don't, this is just mind-boggling, but I do think the Elite is going to win. Toni Storm versus Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. I think Britt Baker should win this one. They weren't thinking about putting it on anyone. I don't think. I think that Thunder Rosa was going to get, the victory here and going to hold the title for a while. But I think that this division needs work. And I think to add prestige to this title, you need to keep it on a select group of women. If you pass it around like hot potato, it's going to lessen the prestige of the title if half the roster or even a quarter of the roster have held the title before. And I think if you look at those 4 ladies, who's the most entertaining, who's got the better matches under her belt within AEW, I think it's Britt Baker. So I think I would put the title on Britt Baker here. Going on to the main event match, CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. I think if you just watch this feud on the TV, it has been great. Great promos. AEW is better at building the challenger than having a good title reign, and I think that's helped CM Punk because now he has 2 chases. He chased the title once, got hurt, and now here he is chasing it again. I think that's going to help him if he can kind of just stop calling out random guys that people like, going into business for himself like he did Hangman. He could probably be more over than before, and I think he's the most mainstream star that AEW has, so he needs to just kind of keep his mouth shut, and then he'll be more over than before. He can win this title in Chicago. Should be a lot of fun to watch, and there is an element to this where people don't know what's going to happen, and that is always good to have in pro wrestling. I see CM Punk winning big platinum on Sunday. Right, I hope you guys were writing all that down, taking it to Vegas, and putting all your money down on that. Those are the official predictions from Curtain Jerkin. As always, fly high. I'm out.